Good evening. My name is Gloria Bridget, and I'm an alcoholic and an addict. And welcome to the 40th Annual World Service Convention here in Scottsdale. Come on, let's about to go down this weekend. Let's do it. Yeah, I want to thank the committee. The committee has been working tirelessly. I don't know if you guys are in the group. I'm the Facebook queen. But this committee, all you guys, give a hand to the committee. I'm trying to get all the stuff out the way. I got my home group here. Boo boo, boo boo. Come on now. 757. We the real thugs. Or we want it to be. So, you guys, it's good to be here. I'm so honored. I don't know if my sobriety date is April 4th, 1999. And I didn't. I was 2 when I got here. She didn't start lying already. So one thing that you can, if you don't hear anything else, that I want you to know that there came a time when I didn't have an effective mental defense against the first one. And I had to have a higher power to stand in between me and the next one, right? I need you to know that if you don't know anything else, if you don't hear anything else, please know that me, I have my own self. I had nothing to do with it, except for following directions. But I had a lifelong, or it appeared to be a lifelong, of WWAs, well-whipped ass. Yeah, a long time. And so after so many, you like, so I'm going to share, and there's nothing funny about where we went to, but I'm going to make a clown of what we used to do. So, and then, I was a church girl. I know that I look like some little, sassy hooker tonight. That was the intention. No. So to all my friends from all over the UK, all you guys, there's too many to mention, but I'm so glad to see all of you guys all over the world is up in here. This is the place to be. Man, I'm just looking around. Can you imagine if we was all on one out there in Scottsdale? Yeah. So anyway, I was a church girl, and I went to my dad was in the Army, and so I was born in San Francisco, and we went to overseas when I was just a little kid, like 2 or 3, and so I didn't know a whole lot of stuff except for the Army, and I stayed there till about 10 or 11, and I came back to the States. Now, the year I was born, there was not a lot of privilege for people of, the darker persuasion, little melatonin. So I was born in 1954, fine as hell. So coming back here, during that time in the early 60s, we came back and went to Alabama. And you guys have heard, those of you have heard my story. Nobody in the 60s of color should have been going to Alabama, right? It was a horrible time. It was, it was a bit much. And if you've ever been there or seen it, you would never understand what it is. So, but my granddad's a minister. My grandmother is, she owns a general store. They own a swimming pool. They, swim, like it was their swimming pool. It's down the road, and Yeah, you don't have wasn't no backyard swimming pool, but she owned the one down the road, with the general store. We called them the general store. We call them Safeway and Stater Brothers today, but it's the general store. And so, it was nice. Life was good. Life was good. I was going to church, and I think I can sing, but I really can't. No, I can't even hold a tune, but I like songs. And Don't Let Me Hear Blessed Assurance. Oh my goodness. And my grandfather, and I could sing it. My grandfather said, that baby can sing. And baby, let me tell you, yeah, but it wasn't sounding good, but he told me that God liked the way it sounded. So I would just like, yeah, right. So one day I'm on my way home from school, and there's a crowd down, and me and some other kids in Route 35 in Sylacauga, Alabama. And there's a crowd, and as I get closer, it is my friend that missed school. She was hanging from a tree, shot with a whale harpoon, and she was 9 years old. And so my mother thought, well, it's time. We're going to load up the truck and we moving to Beverly. We getting out of here. We getting out of here, right? And that's what we did. We came to California because there's not any racism. Those are the Californians. They're the Californians like, what? What you talking about? Anyway, they ain't talking about nothing. What you talking about? They ain't talking about nothing. So anyway, we move here, and again, life was okay. I didn't know a whole lot of stuff. I told you I'm born in 1954. That would make me 7 in case anybody can't add. And so the teacher, in those days we had like handwriting and geography and history and arithmetic, right? And you would practice, right? You had recess and lunch and so I was good little girl. We moved up here to my other grandmother, but she was a church. I think she owned the First Baptist Churches of California. I'm not sure, but so yeah. But anyway, so I'm at school and I'm playing the violin. So just imagine, I got hair, but it's long. It's like 2 little things, and they're hanging down here, and they braids. I didn't know they was called braids until not too long ago. They used to be called plaits, and then I had some bangs with the rollers, and the bangs were down here if you straighten them, but when you put this roller in, you pull it up, and so it was up here, and so I don't know about nothing. I'm just happy. I don't have no problem with nobody. You know, you don't have no problem with nobody. You just go, and little kids, don't you want to just knock little kids mean? So anyway, I get to school and I'm having a good time and I'm playing the violin and I'm like, so one day I'm practicing my handwriting and my teacher comes up to me and she has the nerve to say, "You're an uppity little nigger, aren't you?" And I'm so lame. I like, "Yes, ma'am." On my birth certificate, it says Negro. It doesn't say, it doesn't say, it says Negro. I don't know about a whole lot of other stuff. I wasn't hanging with people that, even though I was in that time, my grandparents, everybody kept me sheltered. I was the only girl. So I don't know a whole lot of stuff. And when you're just lame, we've seen some lame people. Not lame people. They look like, I'm just lame. You can see I'm lame. Yeah, the one of those kind, so I went home and I told my mom what the teachers said. I thought she had complimented me. And I said, grinning, can you imagine? Yes, ma'am. And and I went home and told my mom, and my mother was like, but she started spinning around like the Tasmanian devil. Right. And so she must be jealous because everybody been jealous of me all my life. So when she sat down and talked to me and told me what was that it was the ultimate insult, the ultimate, and the next day we didn't have the ACLU, but the NAACP was in existence, and so I went to school the next day, there's these suits going to school with me, and I should have been in a meeting of Cocaine Anonymous the next day. Because what had happened to me is that my esteem was snatched from me, and I didn't even know it. Right? We weren't talking about no self-esteem back in those days. You lack self-esteem. You know, I didn't know, and so the next day, you know, I became a bully. Instantly the next day, you know, I went to school, and I'm just, when you're lame and then you try to look crazy, you really look like you're retarded or something. Okay, politically correct. Sorry about that. But, I'm sorry. For any therapists, me too, I'm one, don't trip. So, you try to be, and then I'm about, like a quarter of size that I am now. And with the hair hanging and your head's big and you kind of like got the rickets, right? But I'm mad. And so I become a bully. I become a bully. I still play the violin, but I'm angry. I don't sing in the church choir no more. Because all we did was go to church, and for 6 days and 7 days you cleaned it. That was it. And so, but I would go to church. I didn't, I was just acting out. I don't know that I'm angry. Finally got out of elementary school. Elementary school was the longest period of my life. And these kids, but I showed them. I had a lot of fights. You don't pick me first for tetherball, kickball. We are going to have a fight. And so people didn't even want to play. Here she come. Let's pick the team before. They picked a team in class, like, you're going to be on this team, and I come out. Yeah. Anyway, got out of elementary school and went to junior high school. I went to wonderful over on the west side of Los Angeles called Mount Vernon Junior High School. It is now they've changed it to Johnny Cochran Middle School. And that's instrumental. You'll hear why. So I go to school and I'm still angry. The violin is getting in the way, but I got to tote it around, yeah. But I got to junior high school and I wanted to be cool. I had the dresses and stuff, but not like so I would roll mine up to my, God bless America. And try to walk past school and if anybody's ever gone to those schools, you got certain schools that have, the front door, but then down that way is where everything is happening. Anybody got those schools that down that way? You don't go in, you go down that way. And so I went down that way because, I'm just so sexy that men wanted me, at that time. No, but delusional. It was my story. It's happened. It's what I was thinking. And I got caught up in a lifestyle that somebody told me, when you suffer from low self-esteem and no self-esteem, it's easy for people to give you things. It's easy for people to tell you things, right? And people tell you things. And even in your own culture, because I'm of the, darker persuasion, some of these people, they really mean like, and I'm like, oh, you're the same, right? Right, yeah, right, because, they make a difference within your own culture, right? Instead of saying like, hey, the light skin, hey, little pretty girl, hey, little black girl. Well, what's the difference? We look the same. And so, that happened, things like that. So, okay. Now I get up here to the school, and I see this man, and the man was obviously smart. He told me, he says, you're pretty. I thought you knew. And I told you I had low self-esteem. So he says, come go with me. You could have been Teddy Pennis. Come, So I went and I started taking these pills. And at those times, I know they got the but they had the best downers back in the day. They were called barbiturates, Seconal, Red Devils. And you take a couple of those, baby, you are bent. And it is, you're like, what? When you're drunk and stuff, you try not to look drunk, right? And so imagine this is a seventh grader. This not no 12th grader. It's a seventh grader, right? And but I like, hey, woohoo, yeah. I'm right now. Somebody say something, right? So they pushed me through junior high school, and I graduated, and I went to school. By this time, this illness is progressively worse. It gets progressively worse, never better. So at this time, I'm taking LSD 25. I like LSD. I don't know about anybody. I like to see the car and the wheels over there. And you're like, boom. And that goes on for about 12 hours. So stuff, you see the music, the notes are playing. Yeah. Yeah. So by 17 years old, I had got caught up with these men, because that was another mind altering substance. And by the time I was 17 years old, I was on my way to state prison for armed robbery and murder. And you would think that meant something to me. I didn't have the capacity to understand what had happened. I was with some other people. I didn't even have the capacity to understand. And so Johnny Cochran and my dad were good friends. They first took me to, I had to have a 90-day observation. So they took me to prison, for 90 days, but it stayed up like 3 years. I got lost. They lost me, and I didn't care. I didn't care because I was drinking, and they called it, hooch and stuff now, but it was Pruno back in those days. They changed the name to everything all the time. They trying to make it better. Just if it ain't broke, don't try to fix it. But anyway, so running around there, and then I had a pair of skates. That's before you had to wear uniforms to go swimming. That's over there, the Mansons are over there. You don't go over there because they're killers. Well, what are you in prison for, right? Don't go over there. So it was just, and then finally, because of a technicality, I got released. And so I went home, and my brother, I was living in Salt Lake City. I was a prostitute. I got out the first time. I went to Salt Lake City. I was a prostitute. And I know, I'm just trying to be politically correct. I was a hoe, right? And, yeah. See, but there was a difference, when you're my age, there was a difference in hoes and strawberries, right? And, this is the time. Yeah, this is the time where you had, full length, fur coats on, you had bodysuits on, and, fishnets and heels you were walking down the street, and you're like, putting your foot up on the, curb and, oh yeah, it was all, yeah, it was just, well, come on. What it was, just cause you don't have it. But anyway, so I'm in Salt Lake City, and, I come back here and, to take care of some business, and the first America's Most Wanted in California was Cal Worthington and his dog Spot. There's somebody that knows. And they would have you seen this person? A picture. They would show you your picture. I don't know that, right? Nobody called me. My dad didn't call me. Johnny didn't call me, so I don't know. And anyway, I came and I saw the lady up front at the store, and she was looking, and she said, "How you been? Okay, So she had turned me in. She was trying to talk to me all nice and stuff. Anyway, I went back to the house. The store's in the front, the house is in the back, and next thing I know, she's surrounded, right? And I go back to I have a son. I go to county jail. I have a son. I'm 3 months pregnant. I get, go through all this before the observation. I have a baby born in the county jail. And my brother, my Eskimo, came and got my son. And I just went on and lost my mind in prison for 3 years. I thought I was going to spend a lifetime, right? So I didn't really care. But I did do one thing. I went to school and got a cosmetology license. So by the time I get out, all I need to do is take a test. That's why I'm so fine. I'm trying to help you to understand why I'm looking this good, right? You're like, I can't even believe her, right? So anyway, now you see, I got a lot of stuff. I got out and I put a shoulder holster on and a snub nose 38. I'm one that likes apparatuses. Because I'm scared of everybody. I don't really know. I think I'm bad, but I'm scared of everybody, right? So I put the shoulder holster on. I moved back to LA. I'm cool. I'm stomping with the big dogs. I always like to go with the top. I don't want to have a middleman. I don't want to have a runner. I focus on the top, right? And so because I had done this time, like it's almost like 2 days, but I had done this time. I was the big shot of the neighborhood. And so I got with the big shot. And the big shot, I was big shotting one day and somebody knocked on the door and they came in, kicked the door in and wanted to beat me up, trying to find the money and stuff. So people would call my house. I would be sit there beat up with my, hands tied, and they would answer the phone, and I said, I can't talk to them, all tied up. My Eskimo, my brother would come down to LA and get me and say, Gloria, you need to get out from here. You need to leave. They're going to kill you down here. And I told him, you're just jealous. Because you ain't you ain't living like I'm living. The sad part about it is, where did I learn that living from? That's not where I was raised. No, it's not where I was raised. You see how all we got to do is hang with something for a period of time and we adapt to it, right? So anyway, he would come down and, after he came, this weekend he didn't come down. I told him, I said, I can't talk to you right now. I'm all tied up. And he like, okay. I said, give me a couple of weeks. We got to take care of some business, right? Anyway, when he did see me, when he did come down, it was 3 weeks later. And I was still kind of badly mangled. And we came up to LA, but I had the sack. And he would come to get the vials of cocaine, right? And so we have, a bunch of vials go to Pomona. But I went to Pomona, and during that time, coming from LA to get to Pomona, there is nothing here. And it's just dark. And he and his girlfriend would come and they would get the dope. I said, they trying to set me up. I'm going to have to kill my brother and I'm on the way to I wonder what's happening here. Now, I don't think that if I shoot him, I'm going to die too. Cause we're going up the hill. But you guys, I'm always high. I need to let you know that I'm always high. I have not been high since 1968. I stayed high from 1968 to 1999. Off of something. So I need you to know. So this thinking that I think is cool is really delusional, right? It's really, really delusional, thinking. And you could not tell me that I did not have it going on. You couldn't tell me that, you could not. And so finally, there had been a lot more incidents, doors kicked in and stuff. And, I like, yeah, okay, I'm coming, so I moved with my brother and I told him, I said, I don't like this. I'm just going to go to work and do hair. I don't like being here. I don't appreciate a city that the streets go in at 6. I said, I'm devastated. So as soon as I get my money together, I'm going back to LA. And he said, okay. And up comes the stairs comes my husband. Ooh. This man came up the steps at 6'4". Ooh. And I told my brother, who is that? Ominous warning. That's the gangsters of the town. Leave them alone. Why didn't you just say leave them alone? Because as soon as he said, I was attracted like a magnet. And so he was going to his sister's house. So I would wave. You know how we do, a little caddy. So yeah. So he comes over and hangs out with my brother. They're snorting cocaine, they playing dice, shooting dice. I'm like, yeah, I could get used to this. And he started liking me. I started liking him. And he like, I was like, what would you like in life? He said, I want to be a pimp. I said, I could help you with that. You see what has happened from 17. I'm 21 by this time. I didn't live a lifetime. I need to be asleep somewhere. So we get involved and it was just a life. And that's what we did. We took, I want to say our show. It was my show on the road, but he was there. So did a lot of stuff. I had to make an amends because I don't know who I left with knockout drops. I don't know who survived. All I was doing was being down and dirty, getting money and getting out, right? At that time, I was drinking 151 out the bottle. Yeah, before ether base, 151. I like to be drunk. And I don't like to be mildly intoxicated. I don't know what happens because I don't know what, every normal people, they take a little bit and they're like, ooh, ooh, ooh. It's something about just taking the whole bottle down where you can see me twist up. I need you to see me twist up so I'm about to get. It's about to go down. What is that about? Yeah, it's about to go down. And people are like, oh no, here we go. Because it's gonna be bad. It's gonna be bad. So anyway, I'm in Pomona, life is good. I started working and I would come back home but I was saving money and then I opened up a salon, beautiful salon, right? Life was good. I had a house up on the hill. Life was good. I can't even, I'm telling you, I remember sitting, on the pool side and I remember Lionel Richie, the Zoom was playing. I'd like to fly away. And I remember sitting there thinking, I would like to fly away because how did I get here? Right? And even though it was, how did I get here? There were some things that I had to do to get here. There were some things that I was doing, right? But like the book talks about it, that serenity, I mean, it was matched right with some calamity. That clamor just came back. So I was like, oh, well, Lord, what do you think about get back to normal? Right? So, right? So, anyway, the cocaine epidemic, they was just ether based and it wasn't for the, twos or fews back in those days. That was, you had to come, right. Richard Pryor wasn't the twos or fews. You had to at least have, the least that you could have would be a quarter, $25, not 25 cents, not $24.95. That was the least. That was the least, and that was just for the snorters. But the ones that were doing the real deal, they were spending 100 and they were doing eights and stuff like that. So, and that's what we was doing. So it was good. Ether, they outlawed ether in 1980. 1979, they said 1980, they'll never sell any more ether. So you couldn't get it. Y'all know the story's over because they made those rocks. As soon as you hear rocks, you know the story's not going to be that much longer. Just Cocaine Anonymous. It's Cocaine Anonymous. 40 years ago, when you say cocaine, crack, no, oh, I don't smoke crack. I just smoke cocaine. Crack is crack. Cocaine is cocaine. Who cares? Mine was better than yours. Listen, it did the same thing to you that it did to me. Who cares? Right? So now, life is still good. So, when the ether came out, the rocks came, and so it made prostitution a little bad. It was, I don't know nothing about being an addict or nothing, but I can't trade. What? Yeah, wasn't nobody making no money because they was trading, for what? I'm like, oh no. And I told my husband, I said, baby, they doing, there's something wrong out here. He's like, I know. And so, ain't no money coming here. But anyway, we changed business and went into the dope game. In the 80s, everybody in the neighborhood, in the hoods, hoods, I'm not talking about, I'm talking about the hood, every house in California, every house, everybody was selling dope. Grandmamas, kindergartners, everybody had some dope. It was plentiful. You didn't have no problem. You could walk out. You didn't even have you couldn't even have time to get sober because you could walk out of somebody out of the neighborhood, and there it was. You just like, my. Well, I didn't have any intentions on being sober, but if it was going to be that time, it wouldn't have been that. No, it wasn't the time to get sober, right? But I got a brother, Eskimo. He goes and starts to get sober, right? He starts about 1984. But, he's celebrating 1989 days and be out for another run, because he's celebrating it. So finally, August 11th, 1989, he comes into the program. Good. You need it. I'm glad you're coming to the program, brother. You needed it. You're cutting down stop signs and cleaning the wood and selling it to the dope man. You need to go. But I done lost the house. I lost the house. I'm not up in the big house no more. I done moved down to the hood, to the lower development, right? And I'm down there, and things are getting real bad. This disease is getting progressively worse. I do not know. I think I'm losing my mind because willpower, go ahead and kick in. In the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous, says willpower and knowledge alone is not going to keep you sober. If that was the case, because you hear people say, I'm leaving, and because I work in treatment, I'm going to stay sober on my willpower. I'm like, okay, Big Bird. And when they come back, they look like Big Bird without the feathers, and I like, good job. You did that. You shot that. And so, anyway, so he stays sober. So 10 years, he brings me back and forth to the meetings. You want to go to the meeting with me? For what? He like, well, so-and-so's taking a cake. I said, well, they need a cake, I'm sorry. And I said, okay, I'll go to let your friends. I know you want me to meet your friends. Because they used to tell me, keep coming back. And so it comes 2 or 3 times a year I'd go, but they used to come at those times. They used to get a group of them and go over to the clubs. And at that time, I'm hanging out at the Elks. I'm the loyal daughter ruler. I teach the School of Instructions on Sundays. I got feds. I'm white down. I got my feds on. I got everything. I sit at the bar, and you can't do it with your regalia on, but that's what I do. I take 3 or 4 drinks and I'm down. And they tell me, daughter, please come off tip off the, right? And they would see me, and I would like, they're not going to drink anything. Give them some Cokes or something. They're sober. And I remember them say, it won't be long now. Jinx. That's what happened. It won't be long now. And I'm so lame. I like, yeah, I'll be over. It won't be long what? Before you come to the program, not come see us. Ding. So anyway, it's getting bad. It's getting bad. My children are now starting to sell. One time in life there is you could not get any drugs, any cocaine specifically from Los Angeles to Palm Springs unless you got it from one of my children. So I'm smoking. I don't do nothing. I'm in a 1-bedroom apartment, and that's all I do is smoke. I don't bathe. I don't do nothing. All I do is smoke. Look out this little part in the Venetian blind that has just a little. And by the time I come off that crease, that door, in the blind, I got a crease this thick in my, because the feds are on their way in. the feds are on their way in, right? And then I smoke like this. By this time I'm smoking. I smoke with a pistol, a long, a long barrel, 357. And cause it's heavy, you can get, if you get one, then he'll fall back, on the others trying to come in because they were coming to get me. And, yeah, I had a strategy. And, so, and I like, okay, there was no baths, there was nothing. And then I would just like, you know how you get high so high, you can't even remember to swallow, right? And I'm this high. And then when I do come down and I get out from there because they're on the telephone wires, the feds, they're walking across. And I don't know how they ever got out or were going to get out to get there, but they were on their way in. And, I'm like, okay. And then I would stop and I start talking to myself, look at you, what's wrong with you? And then the little man would run across the room. Now I'm in the house by myself and I start tripping. I'm like, oh, that's the way the feds gonna do. They're gonna send a little midget in to get me. But I ain't gonna go because soon as I see him, I'm gonna blow his brains out. But he's so fast I can't get him. But I'm posted. I'm high and I'm posted like this waiting. Who does that? Right? So, and then, I'm like, my neighbors, they're so sweet. They were so good to me. The mother and father don't speak any English. None. The man would come home on Friday night, bring his friends from work, sit on the porch, drinking their beer, minding their own business. And as soon as I would hear him, I'd start flicking the lights to let them know that's a sign I'm in here. Shh, be quiet. And then they wouldn't be quiet. I would hear him say, she's in there smoking cocaine. The man doesn't speak no English. So I get close to the door and I hear it again. I snatch the door open, put the guy, are you talking about me? The man like, oh. So embarrassing. So embarrassing. Right? And then he like, no, Gloria, nobody. I said, shut up. Shut up, we getting out of here. Just fucking whack job. I did make an amends, and I'll tell you about that. So as I, it's getting bad now. You thought it was bad before, but it's getting real bad. My son has got everything at my little raggedy apartment while they got this beautiful house over in Chino, to protect his family and stuff, his little baby and wife and stuff. They ain't worry about me, old smoker. Right? And, the mother that did not used to be a smoker that turned into a smoker, and he don't know what's going on with this lady. What's wrong with this lady? You need to go down there with your brother. I like, yeah, that's for losers. Yeah. Who really? So, the last part of March, my son came to, because believe it or not, he had all this keys. I thought they were pounds in there. He said, Mom, you've been taking those keys. And I'll tell you, I know it because you have to take the cellophane off. You got to take the tape off, and then you got to take the newspaper. Then there's some tape underneath there. And you got to do a whole lot of stuff to just get to it. You just can't just get to it, right? And then I would try to do that and then wrap it up with the same cellophane. And then he like, well, you been in this? I'm my God, no. I said, I've been hearing stuff. I think we got rats. Sound right to sound about right? This last 1999 March, and he came over. He said he wanted for me to see his new car. We had bought a Suburban. And you guys, when I'm smoking, I can't come out because they're going to get me. So I got to try to fake like I'm not high and go downstairs and look at the back of the car and run back upstairs. Yeah. And he left. He just looked and gave me the, anybody's kids give him the look of, the look that cut you, go right in here and just then just ripped your heart out and you could think about it. I wish you'd get your little ass out of here because I got some dope underneath the bed. You don't even it doesn't make any difference. My esteem is so low by this time. This kind of stuff don't bother me. This kind of stuff don't bother me. The things that I had done in my life that you trying to shame me, that don't make, I can't be shamed. Can't you? This is what I know. I cannot, at this time, I cannot be shamed. Not even by my own child. He came back that day, and usually they don't come back. I don't think I I hadn't had any communication with anybody, maybe about 3 or 4 years where I'd had a decent conversation with another human being. And I probably had not taken a bath in that long. I did not know, it was no coming out of the house. There was nothing in there. There was no toilet tissue, no dishwashing liquid, no paper towels, no food, not even the bologna, the hard bologna and the piece of cheese. There was nothing there. And he came back. And usually, when they leave, I put cans by the door. And so when the feds come in, I'll hear them if I'm in the bathroom. But I didn't this day, and I must have taken one. And when I looked up, there he was, and he grabbed me by my neck and he picked me up off the ground. And he took that pistol and he put that long barrel in my mouth and he said, "Lady, I'd much rather see you dead than see you looking the way you're looking." For a minute, it said something. Does he say, "Fuck him"? I don't even care. The tears are coming down his face for the first time. He was so devastated and hurt. He could have killed me. Just being so hurt. It has happened, right? Doing my studies in criminal justice and stuff like that, I found out a lot of stuff could have happened. So I go downstairs, April 3rd. This is the last part of March, April 3rd. I go downstairs to my girlfriend, the Elk sister. And I told her, I said, "Doris, I'm smoking this stuff." I said, "Can't stop." She said, "Call your brother." Everybody in the neighborhood know my brother's sober. Everybody in the whole town know my brother's sober, right? Yeah, the stop signs. They're now still. There are no more wooden stop signs in there. So I called him, and if I call my brother right now and tell him, they got me held here at this, and my brother coming down here. My brother coming to get me. My brother loved me, and I love him. My brother's coming to get me. If I call him, I said, they got me. I don't know where I'm at, but they got me. Come, yeah. So he told me, go to a meeting, and he hung up the phone in my face. I had never heard a phone slam that hard. But he had done everything that he was supposed to do for 10 whole years. He would even give me dope to go to the meeting. I'm like, "Yeah, I'll go." And he would, and 10 whole years, he took me back and forth to the water and I wouldn't drink it. I had no use. What are you talking about? Because I'm a tailor-made. And when I mean that, I mean, I got clothes that's tailor-made. I got shoes that look like, if I look like you, I would go to the program too. It don't have to be because it's hanging off the one side longer too. So, and I said, okay, that was April 3rd, 1999. And I asked God, I said, "God, if you let me sleep all night, you'll never have to worry about me." And I feel the same way as I did back then. And I slept all night. I got up and I cleaned my house and I was at that meeting. I walked it. I cleaned that house. You know how your house is so dirty. I had never had the windows. I cleaned the rugs I cleaned the rug on my knees. I went back and up and down and I cleaned everything. I rearranged the furniture and I was sitting in front of American Recovery Center for the Monday Night Cocaine Anonymous meeting. And the man came out. He says, "What are you doing here?" Because I was early. I said, "Don't talk to me about what I'm doing here. My brother goes there and I got to get in there. I got to get in there. Don't ask me why I'm here. I'm waiting for my brother." And the man said, "Okay." I guess he said, "Well, calm down." Because I was not going to leave. And so I walked into the Monday night meeting, and I have not been out since. But so, thank God, because here's the, when I tell you it was God to do, because I was so badly mangled when I came here. I had been bludgeoned and beaten into humility, right? Are you talking about, I had to be bludgeoned and beaten. I went through all types of everything in order just to be humble enough to say, my name is Gloria and I'm an addict. Pride was trying to kill me. You see, I was so outdone. I was so the bedevilment. I was full of it. I was full of the book talks about it. And then it says now there, and then it says, the loneliness that we feel and suffer that lasts. That's where I was at. So I didn't have nothing to do. So they would see, back in those days, they would get up to the podium, the speaker. Well, let me tell you about the speaker. So first, I don't want to talk to nobody because there was there for 6 months and the man didn't have no teeth. Now, if you don't have none, that's your business. I don't care. But, right? Told you I was bougie, right? So, and the man had the most powerful message I had ever heard. And I thought I was going to like him. He was going to be mine. Because he was tall and he looked he looked like, Billy D or something, and he came from around the podium and he had some house shoes on and some Dickies. I like, no. I told my brother, I said, I got to go. Let's go. I said, I got to go. He said, what? I said, I can't be up here. He said, I said, whatever he said, I don't want to hear it. So, and I had to get beat down some more, right? So when I walked in the meeting, I was sitting up there. And my brother said, don't sit at the back because you don't have enough time. All newcomers sit in the front, and they was in the back talking. I'm trying to listen. He said, since you listen, you don't even know what they're talking about. Sit up here. And I like, okay. And I sat up there. And I remember the first woman I saw, this woman walked back, and from the back, she had on a pair of tan pumps. She had a pair of silk green pants. She had a tan belt with a silk green top that was tied. She had a tan straw hat with a green, and her name was Norma Jean. That was the baddest heifer I had ever met in my life. Baby, you know how you're newcomer, you know how we walk through the meeting, we look like this. And you know how you look at us like, she thinks she's something because you ain't got no time. That's what we really be mad at, because we ain't got no time, right? But she was the person that was the attraction. She had passed a picture around, and this picture, if you ever see this picture, was hideous, right? And so when it got to me, and then she asked for the picture, and I handed it to her, and then she got up and just, anybody see that picture? I like, yeah, everybody seen that ugly bitch. She said, that was me. I'm like, oh. My brother said, shut up. Don't say a word. Get you a sponsor. Get into the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous so you can be armed with some facts about the disease that you suffer from and what's going on with you. You don't have nothing to say. That's it. Okay. I don't know about this sponsor stuff because, I've been to college. I don't need nobody to read to me. I had only been to the penitentiary. I hadn't been to college by then, but I was lying. You know how we lie, because the story sounds so juicy. I like, I got to make my story juicy. Isn't that something you low bottom and I got to get a little lower than you? It's only in Cocaine Anonymous. I had 17 in one night. Is that it? I had 19. Gosh, is that all? Lightweight. Right. So, but I got here and the things that I did is I asked the lady at 30 days would she sponsor me? I said, Carlotta, would you sponsor me? She said, me? I said, if you don't, I'm going to die. Because they would say from the podium, if you don't work the steps, if you don't work with others, if you're not part of this fellowship, the Unity Recovery and Service, you're going to die. That's what they said. They wasn't just like, listen, it's going to be okay. Just keep doing what you're doing and just have your way. It'll get better. They didn't tell us that. They told us the truth. They said, you're going to die. And at that time, you guys, I was 44 years old. I had 44 years old coming into the program. And I'm sitting up there trying to be fly, and I don't have a pot to piss in and a window to throw it out of, and I got a grandiose attitude. The devil is a lie. Right? And what I did is I got very involved. I did everything because I believed what they told me. They told me if you don't do this, you're going to die. So I did everything. I studied the book. I had every commitment. They used to tell me, put your hand down. But in my home group, these older guys, right? Let me tell you the reason why I stayed, because they kept telling me things like, and I swear, usually you guys say, keep coming back. Keep coming back, you black beauty. Every last one of them wanted me. True story. And they still do. But my brother said, I said, all your friends like me. He like, they do? He said, yeah, they do. I said, no. I said, they really like me. He said, no, they don't. I said, you are jealous. So now 60 days in, 90 days, I'm ready. I'm involved. I'm involved in the program. I'm doing everything they tell me to do. And I walk out of the meeting right there and I said, like I always do, bye, you guys. See you later, Glo. I said, what did you say to them? He said, what do you mean? I said, what's the see you later, Glo? He said, what have you been hearing? Ding, delusional. I'm telling you. But you know what? Let me tell you, by the time I told him, I said, well, okay, that's all right. But I got in this program, and I love the program Cocaine Anonymous. Cocaine Anonymous introduced this church girl who knew the Bible, who at one time loved the God, introduced me to God. So where I just, either he is or he's not, and that's what it came down to me. I had to have a God. I had to have something to stand in between me and that next one, because I am the real one. I will step over you, your mother, my children, anybody to get another one. I don't care what it takes to get another one. So they said, do the same thing with this work. Do the same thing in this program. And that's what I did. I got the manual. I listened. I had every commitment in the meeting. They like, go over to the GSO. Okay. Give you a manual. What did they do that for? Yeah. I sit in the meeting. I like, the bylaws say, no, you can't do that. They're like, enough for you. Going over to World Service. Give you a big manual. I'm sitting over there. I got the manual in one seat and me, and I'm waiting on somebody to break a tradition. May I speak to you after the meeting? Because I don't think you quite understand. This is what World Service is. I don't care about that autonomy. That World Service. We're under auspices of World Service. But they told me to leave this fellowship better than I found it. I had some people that I work with. Carl W. said, listen, don't play with the program and don't let nobody else play with it. He said, this is no show. There's no show flowing here. He said, your life is on the line. He said, don't you ever forget that. Your life is on the line. At any given time, you could take one if you're not spiritually fit, right? If you're not armed with enough facts, right? If you believe that you have done this on your own, you're a fool. That's like trying to treat your own self. It's not happening. It has nothing to do with you. You're just following the directions. And they told me if you can follow directions in the program, you can stay sober. And the first direction they told me was don't take a hit in between the meetings. What? And I followed that simple direction. Yeah, that's the reason why I'm here today, because I did exactly what I was too scared not to. And I fell in love with the program. I was everywhere. I was so much. I was a delegate. Went over to the World Service, chair of structures and bylaws. for 8 years. Yeah. No, I don't want, no, we don't, no. Send that back. We worked on stuff all year to leave the fellowship better than we found it. See, there are some people that came before me. I stand on the shoulders of giants. I stand on the shoulder particularly of Carl W. Carl W. was my service mentor. Ronald Antoine was AKA Cartoon was my service mentor. I went to any lengths to be good to Cocaine Anonymous. Cocaine Anonymous has been good to me, and there's no way that I would not be good to Cocaine Anonymous. Cocaine Anonymous saved my life. Had I not had Cocaine Anonymous, I would not be here. If I didn't have a God that loved me so much to snatch me from the gates of death and insanity, I wouldn't be here. It ain't had nothing to do with it. I'm not smart enough. I always want to beat the game. I had to have something that was in the body snatching business. Coupled with that WWA, it was easy. Get over here. Okay. And that's what I do today. I do the same thing that I did 26 years ago. Very active in the pro-love. Let's talk. I'm going to talk to you after. Or something happened to me and I turn around. Let me talk to you. Break. They call me the CA police. All over California, no matter everywhere I go, because I do it in any meeting. So I still work because I stayed at the party too long. And so, I've gone back to school and got some degrees and stuff like that, right? But I had the privilege now because of you guys in World Service. I had the privilege to help my agency that I work for start a union from San Francisco to San Diego. There's 3 locals involved in this one union, first substance abuse, right? I bargained both contracts because we're rather new. I've been on the bargain team. I bargained both contracts, right? I know what's in the book. And I'm also the shop steward for 14 facilities, right? And there's 4 of them on fire right now. Because, you got management, any managers in there, be careful. You might meet somebody like me. Because I did this before I knew the policies. I go into every job knowing what the company wants from me, right? And so that's what I did. So I'd be like, And so now I don't mind. And all managers know me. And the CEO, she and I used to work together in the prison. So I usually just call her and say, listen, I don't want to have to go in your manager's ass, but I'm going up deep. They have violated this, and this. And they're like, oh, yeah, somebody be calling you. Yeah, okay, just take care of that. Right? But I didn't have the nerve to do things like that. You guys put me back together. Eric, you put me back together. You put me back together. All of you, my home group. See, they all wanted me. Look how they looking at me, Clinton them. Hey, look at Reggie, the old timer. Gonna be 40. He gonna be old as Cocaine Anonymous. Right? Oh, who is that? Yeah, and then, you had the new people. 10, 11, 12 years old. Ooh, Jesus, you want to just slap the taste out their mouth. You're like, shut the fuck up. But you don't, you just love intolerance. Because that's the way they felt about me, and I had to remember that, like, I get the old elder, come on, can you come? Okay, this is not, yeah. Yeah, I will fight. I used to have a gun all the time in the meeting, the Cocaine Anonymous. But it's been a long time. See, that's that fucking. The good part about it is I don't take any apparatuses in the meeting. I don't even need one. I don't, because God has been good to me. And I've been good. I'm not afraid anymore. I'm not afraid of nothing and nobody. I walk in my own, they branded what he brand. I walk in my own brand of dignity. Women want to be like me. I don't want to be like them. Yeah. Women ask me to sponsor them. I got a sponsor who is an attraction to me, and I walk the same way she does. Right. But I don't want nothing you got. What? What? And the newcomer think, well, I can't work today. Find you another sponsor. I ain't got time. I can't do it. I'm not going to do it. Right? Because your life is on the line, and you can sit around and hang around the fringes of the program just because you do the dances, the cards, whatever, you hanging on the coattail of somebody else. You can't catch this by osmosis, because at any given time, I don't care how much you say you love God, the way your actions will tell whether you love God or not. Right? Right? Because you can't slip and slide and sneak and hide from God, because he will expose you. And then you don't even know you've been exposed. You're just walking around like you got some stuff going on. And everybody see your panties. Right? I'm telling you, these are the things. So if you're new, I want to welcome you to the Fellowship of Cocaine Anonymous. And where are newcomers at? Raise your hand, newcomers. God, I got love. That's my boy right there. See, I know it. Me and you. See, this is why we're here. This is why we're here. We're here and we're free. We ain't gonna charge you nothing, but you're gonna do some work. Don't be laying around and I don't feel like going to the meeting. I didn't feel like going to the dope house. I don't want to go. And I'm knocking on the door without a dime. Oh, okay. I feel like I'm the only one. Right? So work, I can tell you, do the same thing as hard as you work for drugs and alcohol, work for your life. It's your life. It's not about Cocaine Anonymous. It is your life. And then you will add to Cocaine Anonymous. If you don't add anything to your life, you'll never add anything to Cocaine Anonymous. Right? Cocaine Anonymous gave me a life. Cocaine Anonymous is not my life. Right? I don't hide in the meetings, but I act accordingly, because somebody might be watching. Somebody might, oh, she's a member of the fellowship. I need people to know that I'm not going to be out cussing nobody out. And I work the 12 steps. Fuck you, ya bitch. What? Right? I turned into Kendrick Lamar, I feel ya bitch. No, I live the right way. And you have to, because that's what this program is for you. God spared me, and he spared all of us. Be grateful. The only way that you get another date is that you have to take one. I have not taken one since April 3rd, 1999, and for that I'm eternally grateful. Thank you for allowing me to share.